The gift part of the rejection is the gift is sometimes revealed in hindsight
Yes, sir.
and not in the immediate moment. So it's
Yes, sir.
important that I exercise patience in processing the immediate pain of the rejection moment. Yeah, that's because purpose is being unpackaged. Hello, and welcome to Spirit in Mind, where we discuss current affairs with faith and mental health perspectives. I'm Bishop Guy Robinson. It's a great joy to be with you again, and always glad to have my colleague and co-host, Dr. Jonathan Shepard, with us again. Dr. Shepard.
And good day to all those persons who are watching the podcast. It is so great to be with you for another episode for Spirit in Mind. We are excited to have you all here. There are so many different ways you can join us with Spirit in Mind. You can go to our Facebook page. You can go to our YouTube page. We encourage you to go to our YouTube page and subscribe. You'll see some short reels. You'll see the long episodes. We even encourage you to go to download the various podcasts. And I'm happy to say that we've had over 100 downloads thus far in our few months of being on. And I am thankful for the number of people who continue to say that they are watching the podcast. And we're hoping that this is helpful material for you.
Indeed. And today we are going to talk about something, again, that we hope and pray. It's our prayer that all of our content is helpful and relevant. But today, oh man, this is a very relevant subject. We want to talk about the basic subject of rejection. And I'll begin with the theology. What came to mind is we were talking about what we're going to talk about. Dr. Shepard and I were talking about that. What came to mind is Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53 says, "Who has believed our report?" Almost as if like this is something unbelievable that we're about to tell you for most people. So you got to really tap into this by faith. And he goes on to say, he was despised and rejected of men. Now, what's powerful, a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief. It connects rejection, sorrow, and grief, all in a similar passage and cycle. It makes this connection between, if you will, even grieving rejection. And yet it says there's good news. And of course, in our theological tradition, this is referring to or prophesying or referring to the ministry of Jesus Christ. And so, wow, who would think that this incredible Savior of the world experienced rejection, and it brings new content to Paul's idea later to say that I might know him in the power of his resurrection and in the fellowship of his suffering and in a part of our walk, even as disciples, and not just as disciples, but as human beings, is this experience of rejection. So how do we process that and even come to see it as a part of a bigger and greater good for which we can see rejection as a gift? So we will talk about the gift of rejection. And Dr. Shepard's going to take us a little further, but I just wanted to put a theological framework to the significance of today's discussion.
Thank you, Bishop. And this is such a powerful topic, as you just mentioned. And what we're doing today, we're going to have dialogue between myself and Bishop about rejection, because it's an area that a lot of us do not want to talk about. And Bishop just laid it out how Jesus himself dealt with rejection. So, Bishop, there's some questions that even I had to ask myself, and I would love to even ask you some of those questions. And I wrote them down for myself is, when was the last time that I had a door of opportunity closed in my face? uh, yeah, doors of opportunity that may have presented themselves to me, and that door ended up being closed when I thought that the door was open. Yeah, and even just the different sacrifices that I had to make. So I could just share with you, there were some job opportunities that I thought that the Lord was in, and that everything was going well. Interview was going well. Had even had me to look at real estate in the area, Bishop. So I knew that the interview was going well, and somehow, some way, I either made a mistake or I said something that they didn't like. And before I knew it, they had closed the door of opportunity in my face. And I was not happy. I don't know if, hopefully, you all are able to identify with it. I'm not sure who out there, you had some doors of opportunity that, wow, Bishop, I don't, tell us, have you had those same experiences?
um, and I mean, I'm in pulpits and classrooms, and rejection is an occupational constant. Um, and
I
I
bet
don't
you
say
have
that. It's like, and so while we were talking about this subject, I just started thinking about the different forms of rejection, and
Mm,
some of them are, it's on a, and I start thinking it's rejection probably experienced on a continuum in
mm,
terms of how it affects us, you know, and and how painful, if you will, it is. So just like there's a continuum of pain,
mm,
uh, physically and emotionally. Rejection can certainly be on those lines of the emotional pain. And so there's a continuum. So anyway, there's different ways to answer that question. I started listing some of the ways in which in both vocations you experience rejection.
mm.
And again, some of them are mild and some of them are more serious. But as a teacher, I love my content. I love what I'm teaching. So when I go into the classroom, this is a subject, of course, that I've studied, that I've spent time for, that I'm into, if you will. And I can't wait to see that light bulb go off. I think every teacher who may be watching knows how fulfilling it is to see that light bulb go off when you see a student saying, I got it, or I like it. But we also know what it is to see that student that looks just totally bored, disinterested, and completely rejects your presentation and is clearly there by coercion and not commitment. That's just a part. And in some ways, because you love what you do and you're invested in it, you do want people to receive it and not tolerate it, which can be a form of rejection. So that's on the pedagogical or teaching side. But then there's the pastoral side. Oh man, I'm going to do it tomorrow. You're going to extend the invitation. You would love for persons to
Mm.
join your church, to align with you in your household of faith, or even more to receive the salvation through Jesus Christ that you're offering. And it doesn't always go that way. And sometimes the rejection is more intense than others. And so, yeah. It's
Yeah,
just a part of the developmental and vocational processes. Absolutely.
absolutely. And I love what you were saying, the commitment versus the coercion. When
Yes, yeah.
absolutely, you can tell when the people have been coerced. Uh,
Yes. As you know, sometimes some of the most difficult therapeutic encounters are the ones that are like mandated.
uh, uh, yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir. And they try to make the most of it.
yeah,
So when we look at the word rejection, Bishop said a wonderful foundation through the scriptures. And I just want to make sure that we are clear about the word rejection and what it means. The word rejection means to refuse to accept,
yeah,
to consider, submit to, take for some purpose or use, to refuse to hear,
yeah,
to refuse to receive or admit, to cast off, to even throw back and repulse. So that is what the word of rejection, or what the word rejection means. And so when we're talking about unwrapping the gift of rejection, um, you know, again, the gift versus rejection, it almost plays against each other, if you would,
right,
because the act of rejection is not the gift. I'll be clear about that. The act of rejection is not the gift. The gift is what can rejection teach you about yourself and others. That's what the gift is. And so we want to look at what those things that rejection can teach you, whether you've been coerced or you're committed to whatever the thing is, or however it happened for you. We want to look at what some of those gifts are. And I want to tell you right now, this is going to be a multifaceted episode for rejection, because there's just so many different things that's going to come out of this. There are some gifts that we're going to touch on. And again, we're going to ask each other some questions. And we want you to be able to ask yourself some of the same questions we're asking ourselves, as we're being transparent, as we're being vulnerable about what those things are. So let me just get right into it. So let's look at one of the gifts that can occur when you unwrap the gift of rejection. So the first gift is that it can position you for purpose. I'll say that again. It can position you for purpose. So when you look at what we were talking about, the doors of opportunities that could be closed in your face, you look at, Lord, why was the door closed? Why was this door why was I not able to walk through this door? And so I could go back to the example that I was sharing. There was a job opportunity in Detroit, Michigan, Bishop, that I was referring to, that it looked like everything was lining up for me to make that move. And it would have been a wonderful position, but it just was not the place for me to be. This is in 2019, just the year before the pandemic. And I really was discouraged by the fact that everything was going well, and then the door got closed, not knowing, Bishop, that there was another door that God wanted me to walk through just a few years down the road that would have been much better, would not have caused so much disruption in my life, would not have this new door that I walked in allowed for me to stay in this area, in the DMV area, which position I currently hold right now, which is being working within the DC Department of Behavioral Health. And I say those things because I don't necessarily represent that Department of Behavioral Health in our podcast. So that's a little disclaimer right there. But I talk about these open doors and the closed doors because it helped me to understand that, Shepherd, I had to wait 4 more years to get to the appropriate door to find out, wow, this door that has now been open to me, it aligns much better with my purpose, Bishop, my purpose, my goal for being able to provide mental health care on a whole different level, a whole different scale, being able to influence decisions, being able to work in the nation's capital, where so many decisions are being made, where so many people are coming in to look at the various platforms that we're using to provide treatment services for people literally across the area and really across the world, because so many people come to the Washington, D.C. area from all over the world because this is our nation's capital. Bishop, I think about it that I could have missed out on that door. And I look at how that door of rejection in 2019 really positioned me for the purpose of where I am today. Yeah.
That's a powerful thing. So here's the consideration from how I'm taking my takeaway from that, what you just shared, is that we experience rejection, and sometimes because there's a larger purpose that's being unpackaged. Proverbs 19:21 says, many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. And so so we're starting off with a very spiritual idea that there's a greater purpose, a very spiritual principle, that there's a greater purpose that is for our lives that hasn't totally even unfolded for us yet. When you said the gift is not necessarily the rejection, but it is when it gets revealed, the purpose is revealed. That's so important. So the takeaway for us, for me, is to what can I do? Exercise patience when we experience rejection, because exercise patience for the gift to be unpackaged. To just say, this rejection happened for a reason, and there's divine direction in this rejection. It just hasn't been revealed yet. Why? 2019, and now here we are in 2025, and you're saying thank you for that experience of rejection. So I'm feeling it, and the pain that I'm feeling is real in that moment, but also is the ability, the skill set for dealing with that pain. One of the skills is to exercise patience so that purpose can be unpackaged. There's a saying attributed to Soren Kierkegaard, really probably a paraphrase, but it says, "We live our lives facing forward, but we understand it looking backwards." And we have to give ourselves some time to reflect. And in hindsight, that's what I want to say. The gift part of the rejection is the gift is sometimes revealed in hindsight and
Yes, sir.
not in the immediate moment. So it's important that I exercise patience in processing the immediate pain of the rejection moment. Yeah, that's because purpose is being unpackaged.
Yeah, yeah. And let me tell you, as things are being unraveled and unpackaged, there is pain with it. There's anger. We just want
Yeah,
to stay there for a minute,
yeah,
because think about it. When you're unwrapping a gift, especially if it's wrapped up real good, Christmas time will be upon us, and we'll be unwrapping gifts. So you might be unwrapping a gift for your birthday, and if they package that thing real good, it can be frustrating
right.
to get to get that
Real,
wrapping paper off, and then you look underneath and there's another layer.
yeah, 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 and that's important for us as human beings so we're dealing with rejection. Here's the step. So we're exercising patience. We're also in this stage. It's okay to acknowledge emotions without immediate action. It's called sitting with them. So I'm sitting with my emotions. So I'm acknowledging that, wait a minute, I feel, some type of way from this experience of rejection. Acknowledgement and acceptance without immediate action. Because I'm not just spontaneously doing whatever I feel. I'm acknowledging my feelings. I'm subjecting my feelings to, if you will, even my own analysis. And what else is this connected to? And are there any other things that this is reminding me of that are unresolved and unsettled? So all of this is a part of acknowledging without immediate action, because sometimes I may regret my actions, but I need to sit with the emotional reaction. I need to acknowledge that. And so, and one of those things as I do, that's a part of that patient process that allows patience to have her perfect work, as the wisdom of Scripture puts it.
Absolutely. And you have to limit that mental health talk. Well, I won't say that the negative talk. Limit that mental health, or the mental talk track. That's why not mental health, the mental talk track. That's the word I want to use, because those thoughts will continue to play in your mind. And again, I use myself as an example. I started to think, was I good enough?
Yeah,
I really did. I started to doubt myself. I started to say, wait a minute, Shepherd, do I even have the skill set to move to the next level? Do I have the professionalism to be able to handle myself on that larger scale of supervision and being able to manage systems? And I remember that talk very well, and I had to shut it down. I literally had to shut it down because it began to affect how I felt about myself. And if you don't limit that mental talk track, it will send you down a track that you don't want to go down.
Yeah. And to do that, you have to acknowledge it. That you have to hear it. And to do that, you have to sit with those emotions and hear what, if you will, your talk track is telling you, as opposed to impulsively acting on it. And doing something you regret. But that gives us an opportunity to hear ourselves and then challenge that negative narrative. That's so very important. So similarly, I started with a classroom analogy. I'll stay with that. It's easy for that talk track to start becoming, well, am I boring? And that may not be it. And that can take you down a whole bunch of other, and that one sentence can become a whole negative paragraph. Maybe I shouldn't be teaching. Maybe I should, all of that. But you have to challenge that and say, no, there's a host of other reasons. It could be that the particular student is dealing with something personally. You don't know what kind of day he or she had. It could be that the subject is just not as interesting as other areas for them. And it may be that they have to take this as a requirement for their curriculum and their major, but it's not particularly of interest. They may have another major, but this is a general requirement course, is what I was trying to say. My point is that there are a whole bunch of other reasons that can challenge that negative narrative that would take us to a negative place. And that's why it's important to exercise patience so that we can analyze, if you will, even hear our self-talk and then analyze it so that we can challenge it, so that the unpackaging of purpose can happen in the most effective and helpful way.
Absolutely. And so hopefully y'all are getting this, that gift number one that you're unwrapping. If you're dealing with rejection, let's see if it is positioning you, or let it position you for your purpose. So that's gift number one.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at Spirit in Mind, and we're also on Instagram at Spirit in Mind Live. Join us next time for a new episode of Spirit